All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spitfire episode 16. This one should be a good one. Why the Pro League has begun. My name is Bryce, and joining me here, of course, doing things in the background and jumping in is Tunn. But more importantly, our guest for this one, Dylan from Midnight. First of all, my friend, how are you?
I'm pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No
How you
problem.
guys
It's
doing?
it's our pleasure. It's definitely our pleasure, especially considering the recent run of form you've had. Let's jump straight into it because it's something that people want to talk about and people that have been talking about. You're 4-0 in the league. You're 10-0 in your last LAN results. Obviously, every single pro says, we expect to win everything, and you always go into each match saying you're going to win. But is this in any realms of, what you actually expected to happen?
Definitely not anything what I think any of us were gonna expect. Actually, we were going into that PLQ. We're like, we're probably gonna be here for that whole, 5 days of playing and have to play every match. Go through all the bracket just to make it. And we were basically done by day three.
Yeah, that was
Which was
insane.
nice. Basically
It
done
was
by day three, and we were like, wow.
Well, it was a crazy PLQ. That was the funny thing. Like you guys coming out was a big story. Some of the big teams not making it, obviously, and struggling when they come to that environment. It's almost like Vegas didn't really matter as long as you were in that top 32. Anything could have happened when you got to the PLQ.
Fun fact, I didn't even finish in top 32. I finished top 40 and got picked
Yeah.
up by this team.
Blessed,
Yeah.
full blessed.
I was checking that before because I tweeted out saying how you went from finishing top 40, but obviously it was Team Revenge that finished. But even they finished like top 24, top 30, something like that. So it's not like you were like really close to getting yourselves in a good position, and then suddenly you just turn out to be one of the best teams in the game. It was just like, okay. I mean, yeah, there's a
To be
lot
fair,
of questions.
I lost to Heretics and E6 at the event, like in winners and losers, so it was both like hard ass matches.
Oh yeah, Heretics are certainly a force to be reckoned with,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of a fan favorite right now.
I think they're
People,
nasty.
people are really hyping up Heretics. I think just that they've got that big Spanish fan base coming in, so whenever they play, the chat goes absolutely berserk because they all tune in. Like the entirety of Spain tunes in to watch them, and it's great. They've always the Spanish teams have always been one of those teams that can surprise people because it's not really well known how they play as much as some of the mainland Europe teams, and they just come out of nowhere and play insane, and they play with like such ferocity and passion. Like if you ever sit across them at an event, like you will see it on their faces, like they're super hyped all the time. And you know what? That's exactly how they play as well. So it's never going to be an easy game against them. You're just going to have to make sure you're playing your fundamentals and stuff.
I actually lost full when I played them at Vegas. They huddled up before a match and put that like red dragon jacket on like Sukri or whatever.
It's horrible. I don't know.
I was like, wow.
But that's exactly what they're like. That's like a super passionate team. That's the most passionate team in Call of Duty right now.
Man,
Without any shadow of doubt, it's not even like I'm not disparaging any other pro teams or anything. You just cannot match that level. It's unbelievable how like into it they are.
Oh, they love it. They absolutely love it. It's hilarious. I love those guys though. It's great. It's great to see how well they're doing. It's a testament to Europe. But either way, yeah. Off the back of a poor result in Vegas all around for all you guys, I suppose. I mean, I suppose like going into that tournament though, the end goal was to make the PLQ irrelevant of who you were with, and you did that,
Yeah.
and then that's the time to perform, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean my stock like going into Vegas and like just online was just so high. Especially even after Vegas because I went nuts at Vegas. We barely lost. We lost by like 10 points in 2 rounds to Heretics.
Mm-hmm.
It was so close. And then came back home. My stock was still pretty high, so I ended up getting on a team. It was nice.
Yeah, very very nice as it's turned out.
Yeah, very nice how it turned out. Yeah.
Oh, well, all right, let's before we talk too much about your team because there's a lot of conversation we're going to be having around your team here to kind of because you're the expert, right? We're going to go through the Pro League and we're going to go through the matches as they occurred. And obviously that includes your team, so we can kind of elaborate more on those ones when we come to them. And kind of get your insights, not only on the teams that you've played, but the other games you may have seen or the teams, that we are going to discuss here. The first one coming up, though, Red Reserve versus Reciprocity. Kicked it off. A lot of people actually were pulling for Reciprocity coming out the gate here. and it kind of fell into two camps, right? It was either you thought Reciprocity was the better team because they had a pretty good Vegas, and then they had an even better PLQ than Red Reserve, or you believe the hype of Red Reserve saying they've never lost to a European team. And it was basically those were the two decisions you had to make. What did you think of this game then?
I came in, I think, originally on Hot Mic, I said I was Team Wuskin for it. But because we scrimmed Rec online too. We were scrimming Rec, and they were like, it was, and like, actually not. Our Red games were close too, but I don't know. I feel like Rec just felt a lot more dominant, and I don't know. It looked like Red kind of ran over them like that first map, right?
Yeah, I think
Like
that was a
250 to
decider,
80
right?
or
I
after
think
that,
once that game was done, yeah. But I suppose there's like a lot of between those two teams. It is kind of a rivalry, right? Whether or not they consider it a rivalry, you have to put some rivalry in there. They're both in Vegas. They both just moved down. They're both European teams, and they've got the twins. Now they're friendly enough between each other, but there is always going to be that kind of when this matchup happens, people are going to talk about it for those reasons. So it is maybe more pressure than a normal game against some other people in the league, but whether or not the players feel it, only they can tell us, and even then, would they be lying? You know, it's one of those ones like both teams really wanted this one to kick off their pro league. Turns out Red Reserve just had the edge. Tunn?
Yeah, I honestly, I was one of the only ones that thought that Red were going to win this one, to be honest with you. A lot of people seem to be siding
I pulled
with
Red.
Okay,
I was arguing with Phil. I was arguing with Phil.
Because Phil never picks Red Reserve because I don't know, he hates them. He hates them.
I mean, you hate Bants.
No,
so.
I don't hate Bants, and I thought that Bants played really, really well through the week, actually. For the most part, of course. But
so you don't think he should be dropped anymore?
No, I don't think he should be dropped right now. But I think I know we'll talk about each team's week as a whole, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But I honestly thought that Reciprocity was super unlucky in some of their games. This wasn't one of them. I think that they really did just get blown out the water. They came in really cold, and I expected maybe a little bit more out of them. But to get 3-0'd like that was like, you thought it would be a bit different. But yeah, Red came in really nice. And I think one thing I like about Red is the fact that Joe's actually putting up decent numbers. Which
and this is going to sound weird, Joe probably hates it. It's almost like after Vegas and the PLQ, he's figured out how to play slightly different towards this game.
Mm-hmm. But still,
like we saw him make more of his.
As well.
He's been able to make more of the kind of the plays you expect of Joe.
Yeah, so he's doing what he does really well, which is like flank. Do all the things that you don't expect him to do.
Work.
Yeah, the dirty work. But then on top of that, he's actually putting up numbers as well. So I think he's a real factor in the fact that team are doing okay at the moment. But yeah, they looked really good in this game, and I thought they would really, crack on from here. But yeah, a good result for Red in that first game either way. And yeah, unfortunately, Reciprocity's week went as bad as it went at the beginning. Unfortunately,
yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll sum up all these teams at the end about their weeks because Reciprocity is definitely one we need to talk about because of the week they had. But let's move on to our second game, which Dylan, you can talk to us about Optic Gaming versus Midnight. Interesting matchup because obviously Midnight hyped coming out of the PLQ, Optic Gaming, Vegas champions. That is like the Titan team. How did it feel sitting down across from them? Obviously, they had the roster change because of Dashi and Zuma. But what were you thinking going into that game?
Felt like everyone thought it was still going to be like them that took it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have been closer or whatever, but like we knew because our play style's a lot more unorthodox than a lot of other teams too. So like we threw a lot of teams just off, and then them having like 3 subs, and they were gonna try to like play like the thing is, which is kind of weird to me, they haven't even tried using 3 subs. Like we used 3 subs on a couple maps, and it works. But I was like, they're gonna use 3 subs, probably match our pace, and now they're trying to make like a sub player Nomadix player. And I think that's where they went wrong. And now Scump's running what's called Maddox, and they're doing pretty good. So
that's one of the ones like I think when that scenario comes down is like who you move out and try to figure it. And they said it right. They said after this like we don't know how to figure this out. We've only just had this change. It's a role change. It's it's communications. It's everything. This game, especially considering like one player isn't as much as it used to be because there's extra players. And how this game works with the trading and stuff, like it's not as big a deal as it used to be, where you have to spread out a lot more across the map. So I don't know. For me, it was still shocking for it to be a 3-0, though. I was surprised to see you come and kind of 3-0 Optic Gaming out the gate.
I mean, it's nice. It was a nice. Well, I think. Well,
Good
so
start for you, admittedly.
yeah. Well, we came to the PLQ. We 3-0'd 100 Thieves off the break, so like our momentum was huge.
Yeah.
And then we came here and 3-0 Optic off the break, and so our momentum's huge for this week too. Obviously,
It's
that
true.
momentum's still going.
This is very true. I mean, at the moment, Optic Gaming and 100 Thieves, slightly different tiers.
Yeah.
Whether or not the 100 Thieves team will fix it, I've heard some good things. I'm not entirely sure whether or not that's going to come true, but we'll find out when they have to step into the arena. But let's move on then, because that game it's a good kind of jump off point for Midnight and Optic Gaming. Obviously, they're like trying to fix things, and we'll see how that kind of continues on as we go through the week. The next game, Genji versus Red Reserve. I was surprised that Red seemed to falter here in this game as much as they did. I was expecting a more stronger show. I thought this would be a ballistic game, and it could have gone either way.
I thought they'd lose the S&Ds. I'll be honest. I did think they would lose the S&Ds, but
Yeah.
I think what surprised me is when they lost the control. I thought whoever wins the control will win the series. I think if they'd won the control, then they knew they sort of just have to win the hard point and they'd be good. But as soon as they lost that control, things, I think they know at that point that they're going into at least obviously going to map 4. Even if you win map 4, you got to play them again in S&D, and they just don't seem to be able to beat them on S&D. I don't know what it is. I think it says something about their unpredictability, so it really catches them off guard. So I don't know if that's what Genji specifically bring to the table against Red, but that's 3 times in a row they've lost to them now. And it's each and every time being 3-1, and it's each and every time being Red winning the first map, then losing the next 3. So they need to fix something against Genji, clearly. You guys haven't played them yet, Dylan, right, Genji?
We played them at the PLQ, but we played them our last game this week.
Yes.
And that was our closest match at the PLQ. And well, not really closest, but because we did go 3-2 and a couple other ones, but that was definitely the toughest one. Like we won 4th map like 250 to 249. So I don't know. I feel like that team's been like, I've been watching some of their searches and stuff, and they have been playing like really weird, like different than a lot of teams do, and I think like that's their edge. They just win that search, and then obviously they've lost every first map, and then they just take the next 3 maps. Like that's just nuts.
But I think because Red Reserve had a really good control statistic, right? Like they were one of the top control teams from what I remember.
Yeah, I think
I remember Rated saying like their respawn. He considered their respawn like in the elite tier for respawns.
I think they were the only team to beat you at control through the week, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah, the only team to beat us since the PLQ.
Yeah, like I said, and so that for me was a surprise for them to drop 2 in that series. But sometimes some teams seem to be giving Red Reserve more problems, and I think right now you can say that Red Reserve aren't an elite level team. They really aren't. So you gotta ask yourself, how much is their skill ceiling this year? Will we see the same sort of Red we saw last year? And I don't know at the moment if we are seeing it. Like the Red Reciprocity game was good. The game against Midnight was good, which we'll come on to in a little while. But is it as dangerous a team as last year? Is the question still? And obviously we'll have to keep watching. We'll have to keep watching.
I think what they would say in response to that is the fact that last year they started fairly slowly. Yeah, Reese would say many things, but I think they started off slowly last year as well. So I think you could sort of say first 2 events. Well, where did they come second event last year? I don't know, it was top 6 or something. So yeah. We'll see. We'll see how things go on. But I think they're a team who adapt a bit slower than others. But I still think they'll be in top 4. I think that in and around that sort of area, if they do perform at their best, I know we'll talk about the game against LG where they played really well. But yeah, I think they'll be up there. They're a good team.
We'll go more to Red Reserve because there's a game I want to talk about coming up anyway. Midnight versus Evil Geniuses. Evil Geniuses took their first 3-0 of this, which won't be their last.
Evil Geniuses won 1 map that week.
They did. They had a 1. I was going to bring that up. They had a 1 map win week, which isn't good. Dylan, what do you feel like is currently wrong with this team? Because in my mind, this team isn't a team to be kind of sniffed at. Like it's a good team. It just doesn't seem to be up there at the moment.
I'm not sure. I mean, we we scrimmed them. They were doing pretty good and stuff like that. We played them. It just felt like it feels like they almost like their teamwork breaks down or something as like if they go down or something. I feel like they like Leeds they just like spiral out of control in some games where they just can't come back at that point. Like if teams are using their specialists right, stuff like that. And when we played them, I can't remember exactly how the map set went, but first map we ended up coming back in a hard point like we always have. I don't know how we keep starting out slow, but
There's
came
a
back
lot of that
versus
going
them.
around, though. Like a lot of big comebacks on these maps now.
It's all the specialists and stuff.
Yeah,
Really all it is.
you've got to be so efficient with it as well. Like if you mess up a specialist, could genuinely change the game. Especially like Annihilator, Tempest, Grasslad, any of those, you have to be so nervous to get it right. Because sometimes you can pick. I've seen players pick up a few kills with it, and it's one of those things like you get those kills and it doesn't matter as much. Like it's just especially on the respawns. Like I got those kills, but did it really mean anything? And other times you see them, massive efficiency in these specialists, and go right. Well, I've just made 4 kills with Annihilator, and that has literally changed this entire game.
And the thing is, too, you get a couple of them like 2 or 3 times. Like Brack was getting crashed 3 times, like in 3 S&Ds or something, or he's getting it at least 2 times every S&D. You know, like that's such a big advantage to have. Yeah, to have extra health 3 rounds. You know, or just like you can get your Tempest twice. I've seen. I mean, I get War Machine twice if I use it quick. It's all about the timing of when you get them.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you take your time too much to use your specialist, then obviously you're not going to get it a second time. So I suppose it's that you use it fast at the right time. Those are the right things, and I think that's what the mark of a good team has been so far this year. Is the effective use of specialists. I think it's been such a big thing, and everyone knows it's a huge thing. But it's using it well at the right time that seems to be the thing to do. And some teams maybe not grasping it as much. I know EG looked pretty good at the PLQ though. That was why I was expecting them to look a lot better this week. But then
in defense of EG, before cause they
did have a tough week. Yeah,
but it was a hell of a schedule for them. Their 3 games this week were Optic, Midnight, and Gen G.
Yeah, tough.
Like that's insane. Like if they played like UIU, Luminosity, Reciprocity, or Red, maybe they would have had a slightly different week.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of put that caveat in because it is a hell of a schedule.
Absolutely. Their week next week's not as bad at all. But they still look like they need to improve. Like I understand they play a tough competition, but I still would like to see them maybe win a couple more maps. You know what I mean? It's one of them where I just was never convinced they were ever going to win any of those series. Whereas, you look at that team and you expect them to at least be challenging, but they didn't do that at all. So
I think one of the big reasons of like all this is so weird because the first event of the year was like stock 1. Second event, stock 2, all the subs reigned. Like I'm sure you guys saw the top 10 KDs were all subs. And now this event, it's all Maddoxes. Literally all Maddoxes up top. I mean, I'm sure that could be throwing off different teams if your subs aren't performing. I mean, you know,
I think the meta's still evolving. Teams aren't 100% certain. Like I've always said that the game gets faster as players learn it more because it's just natural for them to play at a higher pace. When they know, the angles and everything they need to aim in at, like they tend to do it all a lot faster. And it seemed like the Sorg was, we may have seen more and more Sorgs, and the ICR players always felt like they were getting battered most of the game. The Maddox seems to be one of those ones where players can fall back on it because you're not really bad at anything.
Yeah.
Like if you need to go close, you can rip people off head glitches as well. Like it's all good. So I don't know. I think that meta could just continually change, and I wouldn't be surprised to see more ICRs being just completely ignored. Like
not many
they're
people
useful in some places, but like it's such a trade-off.
Parzilian's pretty good with it. I will say that he's been like I think because a lot of people have been concentrating on you and Brack. But I think that, Parzilian is really, like, even, like, not necessarily the first day, but I think as the week has went on, a lot of people have been like, shit, he is really good with it. Like, he seems to, like, be a very, very steady AR. And he's playing real well.
He is. He's really slow, so I think it kind of helps. I think his like, KD and stuff's more up there, or, like, he's just doing better as an AR, because he's not putting themselves in those bad gunfights with Sogs or even Maddox is up close. He's always keeping his distance, so it's good.
Right. Okay, I can see that. Like it's something about the meta. Like I'm just so curious to see how it's going to adapt. Especially like in the next patch that hits, something's going to happen to one of those weapons. I'm convinced.
Maybe.
And we'll see what happens as well.
Two attachments too.
Yeah,
Yes.
like anything could happen. It's definitely one to kind of keep an eye on. Before I forget, I was going to talk about Crash. You mentioned Crash earlier on, Dylan. Something like because it was a player that I think was missed. Like how impactful Crash is, because some people, it's not as flashy as like a War Machine or a Tempest or an Annihilator. But I can't remember which game it was, but I remember watching the Pro League this week, and there was a fight on S&D, and one of the players had, after his Crash was popped, had 48 health left, and I was like, that's such a massive thing because he literally won the gunfight, and an important gunfight, because of Crash. Like 100, he would 100% either been traded or he would have died because of the extra health he had. So like, for me, like, I think people have to kind of get their mind around saying just how powerful that really is going into it. Every bit as impactful as, you know, the killing specialist.
And to be honest, I mean, Envoy, you can like probably mention about it more, but it's important to have somebody who knows how to use it at the right time, like when they can see on the map where they think engagements are going to happen. Is that something that you know your Crash player really looks into, or is it just a fuck it, pop it now like sort of thing, or is it literally like we know when to use it?
Definitely good and bad times to use it. We had like a specialist crisis before coming here. Like we were trying to switch up everything so I didn't have to run a stun on my War Machine and stuff. So I was running Crash, and I've been told I'm the worst Crash player ever. So, you know, obviously there's a good and bad way to use it. I don't know the good ones, but it's definitely about like, it's so good to like pop it on a hold, like where you know they're all gonna funnel through one way, you know, and it's just straight gunfights, or you know, you spawn out, your teammates just got to hold 4v5. It's like, okay, I'll pop Crash for you guys. You know?
Yeah.
It's about the opportunity.
It's all about, yeah.
It's gonna be one of the ones where, like, I think Crash is most effective when you haven't got the rotation. That's the funny thing. Unless you've got to hold it towards the end, but it's so useful when stacking aside. Like if you're honestly, if you're stacking aside, or control you're stacking, or a hard point you're getting ready to hit a rotation because you either haven't got it or you need to break it for whatever reason. Like that's where, and it has to be a team decision. Like somebody will call, like you'll say you've got it, and then somebody will be like, right, slow down, stop. I'm gonna pop Crash before we go in, because that gives us the opportunity to break this. And like I said, it is kind of a breaking specialist. Probably the only one that's better than that is maybe like the War Machine, because it forces them to run flak or get out of the way or have their trophies down. But so all the time that's the case. Like they will have their trophies down. There's not really a counter to Crash other than shooting them more than they shoot you. Like that's it. Like you have to win a gunfight that you're at a disadvantage at most of the time. Which I think is great.
Maps like Gridlock and stuff, Gridlock S&D, you just pop Crash, hit A, you know, just it's basically you have an extra player against probably 2 or 3 people, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's just using it at the right times, but yeah, it seems like your Crash player is doing very well with it either way.
Very well.
All right, let's move on to. Oh, we actually got. Well, I thought we were further down than we are. Optic Gaming versus UIU. Yeah, Optic Gaming versus UIU. Optic Gaming get their first win, which was big for them at the very least, because as I said, there were a lot of worries coming out of here not having Dashi on board. UIU first game narrowly losing to Optic Gaming. It's probably not what you want, considering that is what a lot of people consider the weaker Optic Gaming at the moment.
Yeah, I think one of the arguments were that like Optic got better as the week goes on, and if they don't have Dashi next week, that they're gonna keep getting better, you would presume. So I think
but I don't know if that holds water. Like people said that, and I was like, how do you know? Like, yes, their results are better as the week go on, but they're playing different teams who may not be as good as other teams.
No, I know, but at the same time, I think
I'm not. I just like when that was said, I was like, is that true or not? Because that isn't a good benchmark.
I don't think it's the absolute factor in it, but you know, when they played against you guys, Dylan, obviously they were changing roles. They found out about it late, that sort of thing. And I'm not like, you know, giving any excuses from their end, but they weren't in the best situations. But then as the week goes on, they start to figure things out a little bit better with Zuma, because obviously they're going to actually have scrim time, because I think he must have flown in late, and they did. I think they said they didn't have any scrim time with him. So it was like throwing it into the game against you guys, and it was like, oh shit, okay, this is hard. And then
who's running a Maddox?
Yeah, exactly. So So obviously things have changed up since then, and things have got better because of the role changes. I think I agree with the statement of as time goes on they will get better personally, but I think it was the role change more than necessarily practice because we know that Zuma's a good player. But
I'm not denying they probably got better.
Yeah,
but I just that statement didn't make a lot of sense to me because it was so hard to measure. Like, yeah, they can feel better on the map. Yeah, they can be more confident, and their scrims could probably go better. But they're playing different teams, and these teams probably aren't as strong as teams they've played before. Like, look, their first game was Midnight, right? Who've had an incredible week. The next games like UYU, who else they play? LG and EG. Like,
yeah, they've got a much
those
tougher
aren't the
week
same
next
caliber
week.
at the moment.
Yeah, they've got a much well, apart from up against Midnight, of course, but they've got a tough week next week. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting game. UYU obviously coming in and hoping to do a little bit better as the week go on, and they will do. But
yeah,
it's an interesting team, UIU.
There's a lot of pressure on them, isn't there? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
An incredible amount of pressure.
Yeah.
And we'll see whether or not they break under it. The greatest thing about the Pro League for me, when we talk about pressure, is that you don't have an easy game most of the time. Like, unless you're an elite level team and you're playing like one of the lower teams you kind of got in, like so many of these games are going to be ridiculously close. Because these are not only do you have vetoes making sure it's a fair map set, but because everybody's going to check everybody else's VODs, and you're all well familiar with each other, and these are the best teams. Like, it's always going to be hard, no matter how much you do. So yeah, you just have to be prepared and be the best team on the day.
100%. But yeah, it's a game we always would have expected Optic to win. I think UIU will. I think will get better as well.
I want to see them against other teams. That's what I want to see them make.
Yeah, I'm interested to see some of their other games. When I think they've got a pretty big week, I want to say. Yeah, they do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But either way, I think there'll be an adaptation period as well for UIU with methods coming in for free spoof. Wow, poor guy, man. But yeah, either way, next game, Bryce, come on. We need to rattle through these, by the way.
All right. Reciprocity versus Luminosity. Start of Luminosity's bad week.
Yes.
3-2. Reciprocity won. That was another. Reciprocity kept having massive comebacks in there as well. That's the worst thing.
Yeah,
this is the week of Reciprocity coming back and fighting people.
I think this is the start of the bad week for LG. I don't know what's going on with that team, Dylan. I don't know what you think about LG and why they are struggling, because I haven't actually got a clue. I think their teamwork seems to be what's off more than anything, because I mean they've got the talent. You can't argue to say slaying's gonna be an issue because it shouldn't be. I mean, Christ, you got Formal, Gunless, and John on the same team, so that should be fine. But
should be.
They seem to struggle either way.
I don't know. We haven't scrimmed them all. We have to play them next week. One lightly, but those guys have been having a really off week for a team that I think should at least be able to. I mean, who they had to play this week? UIU Rec.
Yeah, UIU Rec, and I mean Optic.
Yeah, I mean, it's still tough matches, but just something with them's just not clicking. They got something's going wrong or something, or who knows, but. They gotta, I don't know, maybe they just gotta scrim more or something. Maybe, I mean, I heard before the event that Slack, apparently Slack was doing bad or something in Vegas. I'm not really sure. I don't want to not trying to hit on my guy Slack like that, but apparently he was doing bad at Vegas and he was doing really good online before coming to this event. And I don't know if something's bad happening here or not necessarily with him. Just
he seems to be the focus of the online hate, doesn't he? I mean, that's what. When you see Twitch chat and Reddit go at people, it tends to be slacked on this roster. And I mean, that's just from a pure number standpoint. But I will say that, he had he wasn't having great numbers. And then that series where I think he missed literally got 1 kill out of 4 grav slams, and everyone's like, oh, my guy, you need to work on that. So I think he has been the brunt of the hate for LG, unfortunately for him. But I just want
to point out very quickly, you were right. It is Red they played, not Optic. Misread it there because I've got it across 2 screens. But yeah, LG is. But bearing in mind how much they were gassed up start of the year, massively. I know Nameless said they're going to be the best team. coming out of it, and he someone dug that tweet up the other day, which I found funny. Prediction at the start of the game. It's like they had a bad week of the PLQ, and people were like, yes, Reddit, and put that
It's a
on there.
scary team.
It is.
That's a
it
scary
is a
team on
scary
paper.
team.
Yeah. On paper,
But
it just doesn't seem to be working. It's a bit like the 100 Thieves. Saying that though, I mean they still finished 4th at Vegas.
Well, that's the worst part. Like you'd expect them to be at least 4th. I don't know. It's a weird scenario because all these teams are good. And if you were going off that first game, Reciprocity versus Luminosity, say, yeah, or maybe it's just Rec being better today.
Rec are a decent team. If LG ever lost to Reciprocity, it's not like shocker. You know, it's one of them that could happen. It's not out of the ordinary. But I don't know, man. I think the miscap. That's my verdict on the whole scenario.
Don't ever drop cap. Let's move on to the next one. Gen G versus Reciprocity on the Wednesday, kicking it off. Gen G seem to be like top 3 in this group, just in terms of like
100%.
Who can beat them. There's only like a few teams that can do it. Reciprocity, coming off their win last night, they were certainly gassed coming into their first game on Wednesday. Didn't seem to be the same sort of team. It seems to be a team that goes up and down a little bit depending on maybe who they're playing sometimes. I don't know. I think I can't figure out where Rec are. Rec right now are probably middle of the pack. Well, that's exactly where they should be. I haven't seen anything that says they should be higher.
I think so. I think that, I don't know, this was a tough one. They were really, really up in the 4th map as well. And, you know, you send that to a last map, you don't know what happens. So, I don't know. They'll be kicking themselves over this loss, I think, because they could definitely be looking better than they are. But it's a tough one. Gen G are a really good team and proven to be really resilient, if anything. They've had a couple of comebacks, actually. And it's interesting. I mean, I don't know what makes them so good. I don't know, because I don't feel like there's necessarily, when you watch them, like a standout player. I think they all just play really decent. Like none of them seem to have bad maps.
I remember watching Maniac.
I think he had like a couple. Oh well, okay, yeah, Major Maniac, of course. But other than that, I think, you know, realistically, I think they all just play well together. I think I'm really interested to see them play you guys and Dylan.
Yeah.
That's
What do you think of this team?
I don't know. We played them really close to the PLQ. I mean, I assume it's going to be another close matchup. Like, we're really good at S&D. They're really good at S&D. You know, I mean, obviously they've been doing pretty stellar in Respawn too. I mean, you look at that team, like they should be good at S&D, right? Like they have been doing. Like, you got Major Maniac, Havoc, you know, those guys, former S&D stars, you know. I mean, but they've been playing forever. But something clicks with them. I think it's just another thing with teamwork. Their teamwork's on point. They're getting everything done in game that they want to get done. That's how they're winning the maps.
The only improvement I like to see is that I need Major Maniac to look at Jess when he talks to her. Never does. just looks down the floor. He's like, okay, well, I think we played really well, and just he keeps looking at the floor. Twitch chat goes crazy every time. Bless him.
That's because people don't realize Jess is ferocious.
She is. She's
honestly, it's mad. I was terrified, like meeting Jess.
No, you're not terrified of anybody.
That's a lie. She's scary, man. She's a very scary woman.
Yeah, but yeah, either way, obviously,
she radiates this power, like hidden power.
Radiates
like someone from Dragon Ball Z. You can't even like quantify it.
Okay. Jess, if you are watching it, I very much apologize for Bryce's behavior.
What are you on about?
But what I will say is, Major Maniac's been really, really well, played really well, and I think it's one of those teams that I really want to see them up against you guys. I want to see them go up against like your optics with their full squad, that sort of thing, to sort of get a benchmark of where I think they're at. Because I don't really know yet, but looking good for them so far. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Also, I've forgotten where we are again. What game did we just cover?
That was Gen G. Yeah.
Gen G. And again, UIU Luminosity. We've covered both these teams again, and you still feel like Luminosity should be better than this.
They should be winning this game.
This is like the Reciprocity one you can forgive. It went to map 5. Could have won it, right? UIU 3-1. That's not like, that's a team that if you're Luminosity in this group, you really need to be beating. And you really should be beating when, like, in the position you are. And that for me, is the most criminal game here for Luminosity, the UIU one.
100%. I think these are games that LG should be winning. But even if the teamwork's not on point, you look at that roster, talent alone should carry you through that one. Really, and that's not bashing on UIU too much. They're just a better team. They should be a better team. However, they got smoked. So I don't really know what's going on in the LG camp. If anyone is most likely to make a roster change right now, I feel like it's them. Obviously, they can't until March. But if March was tomorrow, or the roster lock was unlock, I should say, was tomorrow.
Who's Luminosity's sub?
I don't know.
Ricky,
Ricky.
their coach.
Oh, they took the coach there.
Yeah, I mean,
could have been an opportunity for them to pick up someone big. Like if they keep having this.
I don't think you throw no disrespect to Ricky, but I don't think you throw him in there and you see a big change. He's not one of those subs. So,
especially with Formal and Gunless, they're the ones going nuts this weekend, aren't they?
Yeah, they've been playing well. They've been playing really well, but
it's just not working.
Yeah.
Luminosity is just not working right now. Yeah.
And when you see their next week's matchups too, what do they got to play? Optic, us,
Genji.
Yeah, they could literally go 0-4 next week. Like they could be 0-7.
Like them and EG are both at the bottom, and man, I assume that's probably gonna be a close match. I mean, if you look at it from standing point of view, like that might end up being like their toughest match of the week.
Yeah,
Luminosity EG will be a close one in terms of like who's
finishing bottom.
Yeah. And damn, that's scary. Actually, I didn't realize their week next week was so bad.
It's difficult.
That was a terror. Even if they improve, like even if they've grinded since the Pro League stopped and just kept getting better, that is a different level of team next week.
Can't believe PS is potentially going to be at the bottom of the league. By the way, that's crazy. Guy's a fucking phenom. Unbelievable.
Actually, no.
Anyway, next game, Bryce.
Yeah, next game. Let's keep rattling. This is an interesting one. Midnight Red Reserve 3-2 went to map 5.
Yeah.
Dylan, what did you think of Red Reserve? Like when you played them, because that was like an incredible game to watch.
Well, we played them online 2 or 3 times, and all of the maps were like, there was like our good maps and which were our bad maps and stuff like from both teams, and the vetoes went down perfectly. We got like all of their best maps, all of our best maps. Like we knew it was going to be a tough match, and like obviously we go to that match like they're 8-0 in Arsenal control, we're 7-0 in Arsenal control. Like we knew it was gonna be like a hard match.
Did that hurt?
It didn't hurt because it was close, and we knew there was one thing we like really messed up on the first round. So it didn't really sting us at all. But I mean we did go down 2-1 in the series, which sucked. Because that control has been like a big like control is probably our best game mode. Even though we've been doing good and everything. And since like I think at the PLQ we went down 0-2 twice, and once we were to win that control, gain all that momentum, it was so good. So us to lose that first control was kind of a little like, all right, Sears just got a little bit harder. But we'd have played them on Hacienda next, and I think Hacienda online those guys thrashed us a couple times, but we ended up beating them by like 120 points. And then that game 5 was intense. That match felt like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah. What was the score last month? Was it 6-5 or 6-4?
6-4.
Yeah, it was a close one. I remember.
Round by round, it was close.
I think when I see you go on,
the crazy thing from that map was actually the best I think Red Reserve have probably looked, or even with their wins. It's just I still think they felt like a more rounded team there. And I don't know why. It seems like they come up to their competition, and that's when I felt like they did it. So I don't know. I don't know whether that's like something we can continue to see as we go on, because obviously the next game was a win, but they looked pretty good there, and I thought that was very, very good from them for like figuring out what they're doing at the moment.
It's too is Scraps. I think that's the only series this week he hasn't gone absolutely nuts in. He didn't do all that well in our series.
No, he didn't, no.
But I think the other or whatever they picked it up. Well, they picked it up, and I think if you see all of them in that form, and then you put Scraps really destroying everyone like he has been.
Yeah, that would have been scary. If Scraps was on form like he was the rest of the week in your game, that would have been terrifying.
Like, he's ridiculous at the moment, isn't he? I don't know what it is. I honestly thought he had a pretty poor start of the year in general. Like Vegas, we see in flashes of it. PLQ, The first couple of days of PLQ, I was a bit like, he's not playing that great, and then it just
really turned up.
Yeah, what was it? A 1.46 over 36 maps. It's like, fuck, that's really good. Like,
yeah, it's mad. That's a mad
effort.
statistic. Then we go on to a game which I don't know if we need to talk too much about. Optic Game versus EG. EG, Optic, like, Optic looks solid here, but I haven't seen enough from EG to know, even though they've had a hard week. Like, again, like, how do you benchmark EG when you've played Midnight, Optic, and Gen G, who are looking
the
like
top
the best
three teams right now? Yeah. It's difficult.
Like, I don't know.
It's difficult, but one thing I did want to talk about Optics, I really wanted to give props to Zuma. Actually, I think
Stallion.
Stepping into that situation, like, you're not just stepping into a team at the Pro League. You're not like just
that team.
Yeah, he's stepping into Optic and like, shit, you must be like I know he's been around for years. And, he probably doesn't feel the pressure as bad as I would maybe imagine, but I think it's still a very, very high pressure situation, him stepping into those shoes, and especially, they go on to, I said, lose their first game against you guys, and then the pressure will be on again, because irrelevant of how well the Green Wall rates you guys, it's still like they would expect to still win that game because it's Optic. But then to then actually turn it around and start playing pretty well through the week. There was a couple of games where he made like really clutch plays and played great. I think it's a real testament to how good of a player he really is. Irrelevant of how poorly FaZe did at the beginning of the year. I think he really has put himself in the shop window, if anything, to sort of say, I'm still decent,
sure,
thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sure Dylan got a lot of tweets after playing Optic.
Oh yeah.
So that's a testament, and you want to say Zuma wouldn't feel that pressure, but I think that's completely bollocks. Like, there's no way you don't feel pressure walking into that. I don't care who you are, right? It's irrelevant. You are replacing Dashi, who had a ridiculous Vegas. You have fans that are expecting a win because you are technically the championship team. Like, and you're a big profile player, and you're walking in there, and you're expected to take over, and you're expected to do the business in the most prolific fan team in Call of Duty, period. Like, there's no fucking way you don't feel the pressure from that scenario. You don't walk onto that stage going, holy shit, if I mess this up, I'm going to know about it.
We're in money tens, boys, it's fine.
And the thing is too, you look, I mean, that roster period's in 3 weeks too. You come here, I mean, you had obviously you didn't qualify at the PLQ. You come here and say, they kept doing bad all week from like our match or whatever, and like, and it's like, well, I mean, maybe Zuma's not getting on a team then, like, where he could have if he was doing really well,
100%. Definitely put himself in the shop window. Definitely. Yeah. I think a couple of teams.
I know he had a first rough game. I can't. That's one of the things. Don't ever take your phone on stage with you if you're in that scenario, because that thing would have vibrated off the desk by the time you've got halfway through the first map. You've been at it so many times. But no, like, in fairness to him, like, he has taken to it about as well as I would expect any pro player to. I don't think anybody could have done it as well as he has. Like, he's embraced the fans. He stayed true to the fact that he's with FaZe. He's told him he's trying. You can see he's trying his hardest and everything. And then he had some good performances. Like, every stage he needed to hit to make himself okay. And this, apart from maybe winning against Midnight, he's made himself look very, very good. Yeah. I'm sure the fans are more than happy with him.
He's definitely more comfortable too running sub now.
Yeah.
With Scumper in the Maddox.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were playing. I saw him with the Maddox and Vision Pulse. I was like, is that actually Zuma?
It's 3-0, boys.
Jesus. But yeah, I think that's all we can really say about the EG versus Optic game. Like, I can't benchmark EG right now. I don't know how good they are until we see them against other people. I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to continue that way or not. But EG have had too difficult of a week to go. So we're going to move on. Midnight versus UIU. Back to not dropping maps here, Dylan. Again, it's only Red that stood your way for it. This is your final game going in it, and obviously this is the one where you've now gone 4-0. Completely undefeated in your first week. How was it kind of feeling coming out of that game?
Well, we went in the match. I mean, there's like some friends on that team from all of us, like past teammates, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they said that in the interview. But I mean, that match was like almost like a must win. We couldn't come into that match being complacent at all, because I mean that first map kind of spiraled out of control for a second. Methods started out like 30-7 or something.
Yeah.
And somehow we rallied back. But if we don't win that match, then one of the other hard matches we played that week doesn't matter, like that Optic or that Red match.
Mm-hmm.
basically is void, going into next week. But I mean, after that match, we were like, wow, like we actually just went 4-0 this week. And like, I mean, you go into next week too, you look at it like we have to play LG, not doing so well. But then I mean, we've got to play Genji. We beat them once, but it's still gonna be a hard game.
Yeah, I mean, Genji's the game for you next
So,
week. Like that is the game that everyone's gonna be watching.
That's our last match too.
Yeah, you gonna play Reciprocity?
Oh yeah, like that man Tommy's on a mission. That's all I can say.
Holy shit! Yeah, you've been
Shut
rolling
him
by
down.
the ears. Holy hell!
Never ages, Tommy. Game changer.
No, he played it. He played it insane towards the end of the week. He really did. I'm sure we'll touch on it, but yeah.
Which is shocking because considering that they only won 2 maps in the last 2 games. In fairness, they only won. It was a 2-map week for them. That's insane.
No.
They won against Luminosity. I
Yeah.
consider this the way I've got my screen split now is terrible. 1 second. Yes, they won against Reciprocity. But admittedly, having played Genji and Optic this week and losing isn't terrible for them. They won against Luminosity. That's definitely a good result for them. So I don't know. Going into it, like they got to play EG, UIU, all that sort of stuff. It's an interesting way. It's not too bad for Reciprocity.
Not at all.
It's not too, apart from Midnight. I'd be honest with you, I don't think they'll win against you guys, and that's not just because you're here.
He is. That's all he's saying it for.
It'd be really obvious for me to pick the other way. Let's move on because Red Reserve versus Luminosity again. Again, this is Red Reserve. This is Matty Marshall going berserk as usual.
Reese Price, man.
Reese, I remember talking about that hard point like that. Was it the hard point? Sorry, the rotation. It was the rotations on that 4th map. Scraps got some team kills. Scraps actually made a big play. He used the War Machine to get a few kills. He killed some of his teammates, then killed the rest of LG, which worked. I was honestly, when he first killed 2 of his teammates, I was like, "Oh God, that's about as bad as you could do, kicking off a War Machine." Pulled it back, allowed them to get the rotation, and then obviously rated. Wasn't having an amazing game, but then he just picked it up. Like he just went berserk, and that's what he keeps doing. As soon as that Annihilator comes out, it's almost like it flicks a switch in him.
Yeah, he's pretty decent with it. I just think, moments like that, just swing maps like that, and he just did so well. We know Seaside can be like that, and I think it's testament to what you said before, Dylan, was that the reason we're seeing these back and forth maps are just because the specialists, and lo and behold, based off that specialist, full streaks, game on, they're 70, 80 points down, and they come back and win. So it's one of those things where, again, so many times we talk about it, specialist use, it's so important. I mean, he couldn't have done any better, to be honest with you, with it at that point. And then he gets 3 other kills to then get streaks. And I think he was really happy with that because I messed. He actually DM'd me and was saying, "Yeah, well, there we go again. We were stepping up the levels now." It's funny because he always DMs me when he does well. It's like I'm his approving father that he needs.
I think he's just scared because of how badly you shit on Bance after Vegas.
Yeah, he just doesn't want me. He doesn't want me to start calling him out, even though I'd be terrified to do so because he would just tell me to fuck off on Twitter, and I don't need that.
You get no how.
No.
He's like the nicest. Thing is, Ray's like the nicest guy as well. Like he's genuinely such a nice guy.
But he can be a twat.
He is ferocious.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I think he played well in that last series, and he said to me that he hadn't played well all week, so it was good for him to get that. See how they do next week. That'd be interesting.
Well, here's 2 things I want to bring up, and obviously, Dylan, I want you to kind of weigh in here. Annihilator players, he has to be not one of the flashiest or anything, but even then he is the most efficient player I've seen with the Annihilator so far. Because every time I see him, every time he gets it out, I'm fairly certain he does something with it. Like, he just seems to always find those kills with it, regardless of the scenario. Like, a lot of times you'll see, like, someone pull out Annihilator or Tempest or whatever, and they'll get flooded and pushed and down. Never really seems to happen to him. He always makes something happen with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, Parzilion, he's the Annihilator player on our team, and he does some unreal stuff with it, too. Must be nice having a specialist that kills in 1 hit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I think?
My War Machine takes.
Yeah, go on.
My War Machine takes 3 bullets to kill someone with flak, and everyone's on their BS pulling flak out here. Yeah. So
it hasn't affected your stats that badly. Come on, you've done okay.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But strictly gunny, you know. No, no war machine.
I
But nah,
go.
that Annihilator like strings together, and especially like maps like Seaside, like streaks are so important for that. Like that third hill or statue hill or whatever. Like you can hold that whole hill like easily, and with streaks, easy break. You know, that's like a free 40 seconds, and then streaks too, like you guys were saying, or like you can just literally hold the whole hill and just keep them funneling, keep getting streaks, and then at that point, a comeback's bound to happen, or you know, you're bound to just win a couple hills.
I think it's just because Raid's fed up of being the ICR player, and as soon as he gets that in there, he's like, you know what, push me, just come on, just I'm ready for you now. You know, you can't slide in. I've got the Annihilator. You can't do this to me that you've been doing all game. And I think he just enjoys whenever it comes out. Someone actually said that to him. Someone actually said like you could tell he was just smiling as soon as the Annihilator comes out when he's on stage. Like he knows he's now in a great. He's ready for it.
Yeah, he played well in that last series though against LG.
Yeah.
But again, LG's woes continue. I will say that I thought they looked better, but still not. I mean, look, again, losing against Red is one of those games that if they lost it, you don't really question it too much. It's one of them, but still, things need to step up for them big time.
Yeah, and our final game of the week is Gen G versus Evil Geniuses. Again, EG. I don't know what to say about this team. What do you say about this team? Like, I can't benchmark them. And Gen G for me, top 3, like probably maybe even second in this group right now, just over Optic Gaming because of their roster change.
Mm-hmm.
Going Midnight Gen G Optic is probably where I would rank them right now. Although I'll probably get hate from Optic fans for that, but I'm only saying that because you've got a division, you got the change, and that does make a difference, unfortunately.
Yeah, be interesting if Bruce is back. We'll see.
Yeah, that by the way, that game takes place Wednesday, February the 13th. That's the last game on Wednesday. Gen G Optic Gaming. That is going to be great to watch.
Yeah, it's a massive game.
Yeah.
But yeah, an expected win for Gen G based on what EG have done this week. But I said it's hard to benchmark EG because they've had a tough week. So we'll see how they do next week if they can sort of step up. I know Revan will be there calling shit out all over the place. So hopefully...
Revan's losing his mind.
Yeah, probably. Hopefully they get things fixed. But I think overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm happy that it's back because, I mean, it's been weird, especially like, you know, not being there and then actually sitting watching it from home and stuff, and it's been nice to watch, even though the games are on far too late. I can't stay up. I'm an old man. I feel like an old man, like staying up.
Missing like maybe the last one.
Yeah,
some days.
Staying up till 1 a.m. and I'm like,
especially because I'm on that early grind now. Because I would get up early to go gym and play and stream before the Pro League comes on.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think everybody is killing everybody. It's like, oh god, it's a long day now.
Yeah.
Let's recap the group then, because we've done all of it now. Let's kind of recap the group and just quickly give a kind of a bullet mark for each team. Midnight, you know what? They're 10-0 in LAN right now. They're 4-0 in this league. Nobody expected them to do it. It is still a shock to me, and I will go out on a limb here, and I will make a bold prediction. I'm going to say they end week 2 7-0.
Oh, that's the pressure, Dylan.
Yeah, putting all the pressure on me right here.
No, you come on the show, you get the gas.
We're all good.
Their biggest competition, obviously, is going to be Gen G. And right now, that is your benchmark. Like, Gen G is going to be Midnight's benchmark because Optic Gaming were not the team they were at Vegas, literally. And other than that, you know, the competition in the group hasn't been as stiff as it could have been because of that reason. You guys have put yourselves up there now on a pedestal. You're 4-0. You have to do the business against Gen G. That is the pinnacle of game for this week for you guys, and it could very well determine whether or not if you beat Gen G, that's it. You've won this group. Like, that's in my mind. It's done. It's a done thing. Even though there are a lot of games to go, I'm calling it now. Yeah. It's an early call. But yeah, Tom, what do you think about Midnight?
They're all right. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You guys really did surprise me. Look, I know, like, we talked about you guys before we got a PL, before we got the Pro League, and you know, I thought you would do okay because even based off the PLQ, you obviously the way that you qualified, a lot of people were like, oh, you know, they got an easier group, that sort of thing, and yeah, there was some people on this show who were calling you guys out, saying you would get worse. And no, you know what? Fair play to you guys. You have really, really smashed it. I think everybody stepped up, and I think you and Brack have been the focus, but I think everybody on that team has played very, very well. And long may it
Teamwork.
continue, because I think it's always nice to have somebody new in there. Like, I hate it when like everyone's like, "Oh, the Optic Dynasty's back. They're gonna win every event." And goddamn, I hate it when that happens. Not because I hate Optic, but I just hate the
he
same
does.
team.
Optic hate
No, I don't. No, I don't. I just hate the same team winning every single event, and I hate the same team like dominating. So it's great to see somebody else in there.
Here's a question
What?
for you, Dylan, in this regard. How has like your interactions with the fans on social media and the attitude towards you changed from like before the PLQ to now? Obviously, you probably got some gas after the PLQ, but like this has been a very different kind of step up. Like your stock has never been higher.
Uh,
How are you kind of finding what is admittedly the spotlight and the glory, but also the pressure that now comes with being in that position?
Well, so back in like AW,
Mm-hmm.
I was with Spacely, Kenny, and Assault, and we got like fifth at Worlds or whatever. And I was feeling on top of the world then, like, or whatever. And I did it like really bad. I was still a complete dickhead all over social media, an asshole to all the pros, all that. So this time around, we ain't doing any of that. And I expected, honestly, expected after like beating the Optic or whatever to get a lot of hate and stuff. Honestly, it hasn't been a lot of hate at all or anything. It's been like pretty mellow. I think because people are realizing like when E United or whatever came up in IW and they were like doing good things. I think it's more of like that approach. Like, wow, these guys are actually a new group of guys. They're all pretty cool, you know. Trying to not be a dickhead, you know.
It's a good
And
start. It's a good start. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean most of the pros just hated me back then because just all the stuff like I did, just being an asshole to everyone.
Yeah, I suppose back then
Um,
you don't really understand how to act with everybody
I,
else.
I was like 14, 15 back then. I just
Yeah.
We'll forgive
immaturity
you.
got the best of me. Yeah, but I think everyone's been taking it pretty well. I think it is a lot of pressure, but to us, I mean, we got nothing to lose. You know, we're just going in match by match.
Exactly. Like if you went next week and lost a couple of games, then I don't think anyone's perception of you being a good team would necessarily change. I think realistically everyone knows you're there, and I think yes, you said the pressure's there to continue, but at the same time, you guys are riding the wave right now, and I think there's probably no better feeling when you're at like competition and you're playing shit hot right now, and things are just going super nice. So I think when you are going like that, you just ride the wave and see what happens.
Just a lot
Been
of attention in 1 week, I think.
a lot stressful than I thought. We all thought it was going to be honest. We thought this was going to be like a super stressful experience, the PLQ, and then here too, losing, probably we thought maybe probably go even. I mean, obviously we were thinking we could go 7-0, like, blowing it out of the water,
Yeah,
but like realistically, we come in and we do even in this division. I think that's like
It's
good,
yeah.
100%.
I mean, this is a tough division. Like, I mean, we're going through all the matches and like a lot of these matches on paper, like good is like, wow, every one of these matches is tough,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I
Like,
think that's a testament to the format of how they did the PLQ. Is that everyone who is there deserves to be there, and there's a reason they are there. Irrelevant of what Rady might say when he comes on the show sometimes, but we did call him out on that. But at the same time, yeah, I think it's just the competition is it grows every year. And you guys are a testament to that. A team who didn't really do much at Vegas. Put the work in where they needed to, win games where you need to, get some confidence behind you, start working well, figuring out the game, and suddenly you're 4-0 in the group. It's just it's really good to see. But yeah, long may it continue. I like to see somebody in there shaking it up. So I'm interested to see how you guys do going on as well, especially come Fort Worth. I'm interested.
excited.
Let's move on to Gen G then. Gen G, another good week for them, but they do have a hard week next week.
Yes,
very hard week for Gen G next week. 4 games, 2 of which will be Optic Gaming and Midnight. Those are the games that are going to test them. I can see them. If they won both of those, it would be insane. Like that's an insane to beat both of those teams. Would be insane. I think for them, their biggest game is Optic because a lot of people are wondering. Again, this is a benchmark game for Optic, so a lot of eyes on them. see if they have got better and they have improved and whether they can continue rolling. And of course, taking on the unbeaten Midnight so far is another big game. Everybody, I actually think they beat everybody else in this, like right now. Gen G beat Red, UIU, Reciprocity, Luminosity, EG, all of them. It's just those top three that are interesting to me.
Is the very last game you two against each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think
Okay.
so.
Can't have to stay up late on
Could
Thursday.
could technically be two undefeated teams going up against each other.
That would be interesting.
Oh, actually, you guys are second on Thursday.
Second on Thursday. Right, okay.
Yeah, they're second on Thursday.
We'll keep
It's
an
their
eye.
last. It's their last two games against each other.
Right. That'll be
That's-
interesting. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I honestly think that you very, very much could be. I mean, I think you guys will definitely be undefeated at that point. But
Yeah.
I think Gen G obviously had that test against Optic, so we'll see how things go. But
It's a very different game if they lose to Optic.
Let's
That's
go
the thing.
Optic.
If Gen G lose to Optic, the game against you is a different story because a lot of people just together you've automatically got that in the bag. Then if they beat Optic Gaming, then it could technically be two undefeated teams going up against each other in their final games of the week too. So that's insane for me. That's going to be a great game to watch, and I'm sure if it does go that way, a lot of people will be watching. Just to see who ends up coming out top in week 2 of the division. Then we move on to Optic Gaming. Again, the story team coming into this one. The changes with Zuma and stuff. I don't think they have too many issues against most of the teams in this division. Just going to quickly look at their games for next week. Luminosity should be in the bag. They've got Gen G, which is Wednesday night. Should be good. Red Reserve could be an interesting one because Red Reserve have been Optic's Kryptonite before.
I'm interested about that game because then we sort of see where Optic really are. I think it's hard to benchmark them when you play it against you guys, but then
Stop beating people, man, and then we can figure it out.
Yeah. But I think it'll be interesting to see
though.
against Red.
Yeah, especially since Red had a good game against Midnight. That's like you got to put that down for it.
100%.
So, I don't know. All right, let's move on to Red. Red Reserve. I just want a quick shout out to Matty Marshall this week, who has basically been a god for the majority of his games. It's insane how well he's playing.
He's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Possible MVP, even though they're 2-2.
Yeah. I mean, Dylan, who's the best player you think you've went up against so far? PLQ or Pro League?
From a
pure
sub-player standpoint, it's
well, yeah, so but anybody.
I mean, it's got to be Scraps. I mean, online he's my counter. Here he was my counter. That crouch shotting he does is actually nuts.
He's been doing it for like the past 2 years now, and he's the only player. Zero does it as well, I think. But
Ours
I don't
does
know
it too.
who does
Not
it. Sorry?
as Parzillion,
Yeah,
but not as intense as he does it because I think
Yeah,
the
he
mobility of the
bombs.
Maddox helps a lot.
and he doesn't play with a scuff or anything like that.
But
It's just.
he slides around too. It's not like just he's crouch shotting mid gunfight. He's sliding mid gunfight, then crouch shotting. It's just so hard to keep up with.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
He's so good.
He's
So
ridiculous.
good.
At the
It doesn't
moment.
make sense.
It does, and it probably just stands out. Like it's weird because a lot of the times you're like, oh, some people have some good games this week, and so but Matty's just stood out all week.
Yeah.
It's insane how good he is.
I think more people have started to notice that crowd shot thing because I mean I was mentioning it to a lot of people last year about how you just see him up and down constantly in the middle of gunfights, and he wins so many, and I don't think is it just that, but he is really proving himself so far this year once again, being ridiculous for him as well. And I think he's a good player to have in that team just because I mean look, he's got it all going for him right now. Really, he's a great player. He's absolutely hilarious. I mean, he's just dead stupid, and he just the shit he comes out with on Twitter, and
Yeah.
I think those good vibes help that red team because I think that red team have got mindsets in there which can tilt off the face of the earth, and things are going wrong, and then he'll just say some daft stuff, and yeah, I
He's
think
a unique player. Very unique.
Yeah. I think he is one of
Even though he has a twin.
Yes. who Brad's really quiet, strangely. But it's I honestly think that come the roster unlock that people will be after him. 100%.
Hey, people might be after him as we get to the very last topic.
You're telling me if LG are still struggling with LG's potential
Mate, I
Back
think
in
almost
their half.
almost any team in this league.
Everyone
takes
would be querying, and if we
it.
are
There are
to
very few teams
believe,
that wouldn't.
and if we are to believe what Rated said about Decimate, but apparently cost being the G2 wanted $250,000 for him off somebody.
Dumb.
Something
Nasty.
like I've heard
Yeah.
stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I actually heard it was
Nuts.
higher to begin with. Someone said 400,000 to me at one point, which I was just like, wow.
He's-
I mean, don't get me wrong. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot.
He's good. He's good though. I'll give him the props. He was
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. You gonna give him, 400 grand now?
I mean,
Yeah, it's a tough one, but honestly, like, I do not be surprised to hear. I mean, I'll be keeping my ear to the
We'll
floor.
get back to this because we have to talk about Reddit in a minute anyway.
We do. I'm curious. We're being on for an hour and 10, so we'll rattle through this.
UIU. Funny enough, middle of the pack is where I see this team. Pretty much the same as Reciprocity are under them. Didn't have good weeks either team. 1 and 2, 1 and 3. Their next week isn't a cakewalk, unfortunately, for either team. UIU have EG though, but then they got EG, so Reciprocity game against them should be a big game. That's their big game this week.
Yeah, that's 2 possible wins for them and Reciprocity. So
and against Red Reserve, but UIU were Red Reserve's kryptonite, so we'll see if that's still
they
the
were,
case.
but they dropped Spoof, so hopefully that's gone if you're a Red fan. But
Ray's a big fan of that move.
Ray was tweeting about that, wasn't he? He was like, "Yes, that's it. Now we're good boys. We're good. They've dropped Spoof." But UIU are a team who will get better. But my heart bleeds for Spoof still. I still feel bad for him. I don't know what your thoughts are on that situation, Dylan. I don't know if you want to touch on it too much, friends, etc. But
I've been playing with Spoof. I played with Spoof way back like AW Ghost days, and then this year he finally makes it. And it's just like, wow, there's no way that happened to him.
it's very, very.
I honestly couldn't believe it.
It's very,
Well,
very.
if they have a
harsh.
good week, maybe he makes it back in.
Maybe, but imagine that. Like, the team doesn't play great, and it's like, well, we want you back. And you'd be like, fuck you. No. No, but you wouldn't. But at the same time, it's very, very tough, very hard to bear. I really, really did feel for him. I think that it's one of those situations you never want to see happen to a player. And I think the thing was, we can't blame methods, because, I mean, shit. If UIU offered me a spawn,
I'm
I'd be
taking that
like,
spot every day.
I'm in. But you can't blame him. But at the same time, he hasn't necessarily.
If I was Methers, I would have helped him pack. It's like, yo, get the fuck out.
But I think it's one of those.
100%.
It's one of those things that he hasn't necessarily played amazing this year. Methods so far. He played well in the roster through the week, I will say. But yeah, still feel bad for Spoof. But interesting to see how UIU do go as we do go forward.
Yeah, it could blow up in their face.
Yeah, it could.
do.
Hasn't.
Let's talk about Reciprocity. Let's just moving this along before we get too bogged down. Their biggest game again this week is UIU, because they have Midnight, and I don't really expect them to win it. I don't think anybody does with how Midnight are performing. And they've also got EG, which people will expect them to beat EG. And they need a better week. They're 1 and 3 right now. They need a better week, of which they could come away with 2 games here if they play their cards right.
Yeah, I think they'll probably put them whereabouts they are in this group. I think, the factor would have been that they maybe didn't expect you guys, Dylan, to, do as well as you did at the PLQ, and that's where they may have seen themselves higher. But I think they're in and around the middle. I think that's sort of fair. I think that's where I put them above UIU, personally. I think they're under Red. I think they're under, I think they're under Red. I think they're under you guys, under Genji, under Optic. I think 5th. It's probably...
I mean, if you actually look at the schedule, we play Rec first. I think obviously we're hoping to beat Rec, but if we beat Rec, I feel like one of those next matches could go bad for them, and then they could be ending really bad this week.
Yeah.
Well, I expect Rec and UIU to probably lose their first games. Oh, no, sorry, UIU. So UIU could enter there with a win because they got EG on the Monday, actually. However, UIU's game after Rec is Gen G, which is directly after the Reciprocity game, and then they play each other the next day. So it'll be interesting to see how that one kicks off. I don't know. That's their big game. UIU Reciprocity is their big game.
Just need to see Reciprocity use their specialist better for me. I think that's been their biggest crutch, so to speak.
I'm sure Tommy somewhere is in that Reciprocity house with a whip, just like just do it right. He's so intense. He's so intense when it comes to like decisions in game. There was a picture of them actually I saw standing backstage at the Pro League after they lost. Just debating, apparently. They were just sitting there talking about it with their coach and stuff. Shane was there trying to figure out, what went wrong. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of kind of keeping an eye on them and seeing if they can improve off that.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the game against Gen G was close, and it sort of gives a testament that they are a good team. They were unlucky to not go to the 5th map, I said before. So interested to see how they do as the week goes on. But they have potential. That's the thing with Reciprocity. We know they could push any team. So I think I'm really interested to see you guys play against them, actually. I do think you guys will win. But at the same time, they're not a team to be taken lightly by anybody. And I think, it'll be a good test for you guys, I think, as well, to be honest with you. I think it'll be a really nice test for you because there's some good European players on that team. I don't think they're quite the caliber of Red that we did obviously see at the beginning of the week, but
it's a difficult guess.
It's a difficult
Still a good team.
Yeah, it's still a good team.
Right, I'm going to cover these next two teams in one because neither of them won a game. It's Luminosity and EG. The difference between these two teams is actually their week 2 schedule. Now, Luminosity have got a horrific schedule, whereas EG's is a little bit easier. But that means Luminosity's big games is Evil Geniuses, and EG actually have some better games where they could walk away with a win. They've got... So here's the difference, right? These two play each other this week, but Luminosity have to play Gen G, Midnight, and Optic, right? Whereas if you're EG, you've got to play UYU, Red, and Reciprocity. Like, think of the difference in that schedule going down. Like, Luminosity must be sitting there looking at that EG game going, I really hope we win that one. Otherwise, it is very well within the realms of possibility they don't win a game in the first 2 weeks.
Thing is, and you're going to call me out. Yeah.
Oh, God.
But on paper...
I even know what you're about to say.
On paper...
You think they have the potential to blow this thing out of the water, don't you?
Of course they do. You tell me... This team on paper should be pushing every single one of these teams to the limit. But why aren't they? That's the question. I don't know why they suck.
Some other teams have proved in this game and in the pro side of it, teams like 100 Thieves have proved that it is not the players, it is the team.
Yeah.
And that has become more apparent with the fact that the addition of a 5th player is that you cannot just win it through pure individual gun skill. You have to have the team for trading in this game. It has to be the right team with the right connections and the right decisions made in that group.
And a big
if you do not have that working, then it doesn't really matter too much what your name is as much. Don't get me wrong, good players make the right decisions and they win the gunfight. But this game is so heavily based on trading and that kind of quick, frantic gunplay that goes on in those decisions and the coordinated hits. You have to be a good team. I might be wrong. Dylan, what do you think?
No,
I think.
Go on.
I don't know. I think that I know this is the next division, but that 100 Thieves team, I feel like we scrimmed them like 2 days before we came here, and they're looking so good. Like actually stellar compared to what they were before the PLQ, even at the PLQ. Priesta, he's good. He's good.
He's very nasty, but like,
especially with that dog. Like,
is Kenny still Rodomatics?
He still is. I don't know how I feel about that still.
Yeah. I think that'll change eventually, but
whatever works, at this point for them.
Pressure on the Thieves team anyway because of the
still a lot of pressure. 100% pressure on the player on Kenny because a lot of people questioned him. If he comes and has a bad week and then things start building up.
When you have an argument with Clay on Twitter, shit has got real. Like
I was watching the games and Nadeshot is chatting shit to the chat through the games. He's like, all you guys are sitting in your bedroom criticizing me. I made this team. And I was like, wow, Ned, you need you need to just like relax. Don't pay attention to Twitch chat. So for me, I think they are like the pressure will be there, but I don't think for a second that Ned would have taken the decision lightly. Said he didn't. So I do feel bad for Pharaoh.
We'll come back to this.
Yeah, come back to them.
The Spitfire because there's a lot to talk about with 100 Thieves, and obviously that'll kick off when we get next week. All right, let's talk about the one last topic we want to kind of cover before we get into the questions from the chat quickly. There is a lot of kind of stuff surrounding Red Reserve this week, and I can't say too much. I don't think Tunn can either because we kind of know roughly what's going on. And there is no official statement from the players or the org at this time. So what I can say, based on what I've been told through other channels, not directly from the players. And what I do know is going in the background is that it is entirely kind of going up against the legal thing at the moment. How do I explain this in a way that doesn't kind of start the rumor mill on fire? It's complicated right now for Red. Yes, there's some stuff going on. No, I don't think the Red Reserve organization is anything but a piece of shit right now. And that's my personal opinion from what I've been told. But of course, I've only heard the parts of the story I've been told personally. I think it is disgraceful for a professional organization to act in the way they have done. And I'm sure when the details come out, people will agree with me. And I do worry for the players at the moment in regards to how stressful this all must be for them.
That's probably going to be a factor next week for them as well. I hope it isn't.
Would definitely be on their mind.
But I mean, like, Decimate JB, their coach just had to fly home. He had to dip. Like,
yeah, I didn't know that part.
Yeah. He was saying it was Las Vegas to London. See you boys later. He was off. And it was like, oh shit. Things have went south. And yeah, it's basically they fucked up on a couple of different levels. But however, what I will say is that hopefully their spot is fine in terms of the players, because if any of you guys do not know, the spot is owned by the organization. Now, in my head,
we can't go too far into what's actually happening yet.
Yeah. But in my head,
should be fine.
They should be fine.
It should be fine.
It should.
And if
fine.
you're a Red Reserve team, this is the time to give your team a lot of support in terms of the players, not the organization. But it is a shit scenario.
Yeah,
I wish I could talk more about it, but it is not my place to explain what has happened.
Look,
I just feel like we have to discuss it because it is big news.
We always know that Reese Price is quite happy to talk, so we'll try and get him on and find out what's going on.
But I don't think it'll be till next week.
No.
At which point I will quite happily lay the hammer in and what has actually happened. I'll quite happily lay the boot in.
But we think they're going to be fine. As far as we're aware, there is orgs lining up out the door at this point, which doesn't surprise me. They're a good team. They're marketable. They've got the British fan base.
Every years.
Yeah. They're very good.
It's just a shit scenario.
Yeah, it's bad.
Done. But what I can tell is stupidity. And just honestly, I don't want to say too much because I'm going to say some things that'll get me in trouble. And I don't want to do that yet because I'm still hoping everything works out for the best. But yeah, Red Reserve, interesting week, and I know the fans are hungry to find out what the hell's going on. And once it all, I'm hoping it all comes out because these things tend to get smashed on the rug. But I'm hoping an official statement comes out explaining timelines and roughly what has happened and. If not, I may even divulge some of the stories I've heard. One in particular, I think, is out fucking rageous.
I feel like you know more than me, so let's talk about this after.
Yeah. But all right, we're gonna get questions from the chat now. So if you are in the chat, questions, none about Red at the moment.
Feel free to ask as much as you want about Midnight and Envoy.
So we have a few questions. What do you like about the Midnight Org the most, Dylan? From Trends 94.
Let's see. What's it called? The owners and stuff.
Too long to
They're all really.
It's just so many things he likes. He likes so many things.
The owners and stuff. They're like really easy to work with. Definitely, really nice to all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, they come like pick us up, drive us around, so we have to Uber everywhere too. That's pretty nice.
I spent so much money on Ubers in Columbus. It's actually crazy. It's so far away from the hotel.
they gave us like $300 in codes, and we've ran through all of it. It's like,
nice.
Yeah. We still got a whole nother week.
Fast.
You want to get those scooter things. That's what you want.
Yeah, not the weather in Columbus.
Yeah, let's do scooter with 2 inches of snow outside.
It's fine. They got big tires. What else we got here? Let's have a look. Favorite teammate ever?
Ooh. Probably.
Mine's Marky B.
Cells, probably he's an amateur guy, but Cells, or if I was gonna say like someone people know, probably Assault back in AW.
Okay.
He's just a good guy.
Good guy.
Beast these days.
There's a question here that I'm actually going to change the wording on. It's they asked how many teams to make changeable Fort Worth, but I'm going to change it to how mad do you think Rostermania is going to be when it hits?
I think it's be crazy with
I-
all the
yeah.
with the like no limitations. I don't think. I mean, I know of some stuff already
Cooking.
stirring up. I mean, I assume people. I mean, a lot of assumptions too. They could be like true. You know,
Hmm.
like anything could go down with this, especially with all the players on the market that didn't make it. Like we were talking
Yeah.
about Decimate. I mean, even though he's got a lot of
Yeah.
money up for him.
The pool of
But-
players that is there, you like nobody spot. Well, a lot of people spots are safe, but a lot of people spots on as well. So I'm really interested to see what happens. I can't wait. Plenty of content, mate, as well. I can throw out at least 3 videos a day on this. It's great. I can't wait.
All right, let's move on. I don't know if you can talk about this, Dylan. There were tweets coming out from you before the league about the players were irritated on your team. Is that all resolved now?
It's pretty much all resolved. It just kind of we kind of
Legal
just
things?
Yeah, both sides kind of stirred things out of proportion.
Okay.
But it's all gotten pretty much resolved now. So
It's all good.
Glad
That's
to
why
good.
players need more representation. Convinced. For those
Players
sort of
Union.
scenarios.
That's what they need.
Yeah, Players Union, Players Association, Call of Duty Players Association. You had it here fast. We're starting out. All right, I think that's pretty much it for this Spitfire because I don't want the whole Dylan on too much longer. I'm sure he wants to get some stuff done before he goes in scrims. Let's start with Tunn. Tunn, you got anything you want to say?
Nothing in particular right now. As said, we've moved Spitfire to Sundays, just while the Pro League is going on, just because I'm not trying to try and stream this at the same time as the games. There's already only 30 people watch. I ain't trying to do it at the same time. I'm trying to watch myself. So at the same time, we will be doing this every Sunday while Pro League is on, if we're available, of course, to try and review the week that went on. So that's how it will be at this moment in time. And then when things start to cool off Pro League wise, then we start resuming on like Wednesday, Thursday again.
Cool,
Other than that, still working on some things. We will get some things sorted as you can.
Every week.
I know, man.
Alright,
This
alright.
isn't my forte. Okay.
Dylan, anything you want to shout out at the
sorts
moment?
it out.
if you guys have me on, I'll try to live up to your predictions.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Don't worry, we're just as quick to let a boot in on Twitter if you don't do it. But no, thank you so much for coming on. We do appreciate it when anybody gives up their time to kind of come on and talk Call of Duty for this long. Other than that, I think this is everything from this Spitfire. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.